Hey guys, tonight we begin a journey into the past, but not through the bustling pages of history books instead, through the misty gateway of a dream. Before you lies a tableau of morning mist curling over a still lake, gentle breezes whispering through ancient pines,
My heart
and the flicker
is
of a lone
dedicated
candle on the
to
stone
England
windowsill of a
alone.
Tudor castle nestled within a forest. You won't survive this if you don't allow your spirit to drift in tranquility. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And don't forget to comment below with where you're listening from and what time it is in your local spot. I'm eager to connect with you, even through these silent coordinates and the little name on your screen. Moonlight glides softly through the window, painting the rough stone walls with dancing silhouettes of trees. A whispering breeze skims the moss-covered roof tiles, carrying the scent of wild herbs and the forest's hush. In the distance, waves murmur against rocky shores, like time's lullaby echoing back. In this moment, you'll feel silence and anticipation entwined, as if standing at the threshold of an ancient, enchanted realm. Amidst this ethereal setting stands a little girl, flames of red hair against the dusk sky, eyes wide with perpetual curiosity. Born beneath a fiery canopy of courtly intrigues, she was named Elizabeth, like a lone star shining through a chaotic night. In the candle's warming glow, you can almost see each fiery strand as she first opens her eyes, accompanied by the wind's soft blessing. Take a deep breath now. Let the whispering winds, the rustling leaves, and the water's gentle tap against stone merge into a soothing lullaby. This is the melody of untold tales, of secrets nestled within layers of mist. And here, we gently touch upon Elizabeth's life, not merely bound by a crown, but as a journey transcending loneliness, destiny, and the sternness of the royal court. Do you feel that slight chill upon your skin, reminiscent of an autumn eve? The castle itself seems to breathe, its slow inhalations the rhythm of centuries-old limestone and oak. Candles dot the corridors, their flicker casting ghostly shapes upon stone walls. If you listen closely, you'll hear more than the distant footsteps of guards. You'll hear the heartbeat of young Elizabeth, fragile yet unwavering. You won't survive this if you carry with you tangled thoughts. Because right now, what matters most is that you are safe here, drifting into a Tudor dreamscape that exists only in slumber. Let every detail seep into your soul. The silver moonlight, the murmuring waves, the scent of cedar, and the portrait of a queen who knew no fear. As you open your mind, the image of little Elizabeth dancing in candlelight emerges. She isn't the stern visage of unyielding power. She is the red-haired child, eyes alight with wonder and shy joy. She feels every breath of wind, every dew drop on the garden rose. She learns to listen to nature, for nature is her first teacher in patience and resilience. And when those candles dim, leaving only moonlight upon the winding river, know that this is but the prologue to a long voyage. Allow yourself to dwell in the stillness, embrace every breath of the night, and prepare for the story of the Unshakable Queen. Why Elizabeth I was more than just a monarch. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Night after night, silver moonlight drifts through pine boughs like scattered dewdrops. The silence is so profound that you can hear your own soft inhale, your heart beating gently, heart beating slowly, and the pauses between each whisper of wind whispering across the mossy roof tiles. In this stillness, the story unfolds not merely of a dynasty, but of a girl carrying both hope and solitude within her. Imagine a hushed castle, its ancient stone walls standing tall amid a thick forest, where every star reveals each vine-covered brick. The fortress nestles by a winding river, where gentle breezes carry the hushed murmur of lapping waves, like nature's lullaby. This is the world of Elizabeth I, the young Duchess of the Tudor realm, where power and intrigue hide within every stone and every shadow. Elizabeth had reached 9 full moons since her birth. Her hair glowed red like fire against the night, her clear eyes as still as a calm lake. She was no ordinary child. If you drew close, you'd feel the intense silence in her gaze. She learned Latin, Greek, and French, devouring ancient philosophy texts inked on vellum. Candles lining the castle Corridors danced across her face, revealing features both childlike and wise beyond her years. Soft inhale. In the attic chamber, where moonbeams filtered through iron-framed windows, Elizabeth held a heavy tome, reading by the flicker of candlelight. Each line, each word echoed whispers of the past. She learned to listen, to the night wind stirring branches, to distant footsteps of castle guards, and to her own heartbeat steady and firm, reminding her that though small, her spirit remained strong. They said Elizabeth lived by a silent motto: I see, but I do not speak. She learned silence from stepmothers, tutors, and from the cold court itself. Once, she heard a hushed warning behind her back. Trust no one, not even yourself. The faint moon seemed to etch that caution across the still air. She did not protest, she merely nodded, and continued to observe, heart beating slowly. One night, when a chill breeze rose from the riverbank, Elizabeth stepped onto the balcony, her hand resting on the cool stone railing. She gazed skyward, searching for a familiar constellation. Rain-drenched tiles glistened underfoot, mossy green announcing time's passage. She whispered, I will keep my secret. I will endure. Oh, within the castle's depths, candlelight reflected the silhouette of a solitary figure gliding down the corridor. He was the new tutor, an erudite scholar from distant lands, bearing a travelling library and boundless knowledge. Candlelight tapped softly on wooden tables, and the closing of book covers sounded like an invitation to a world of words. He never regarded Elizabeth with pity, but with respect rare for a young lady without a throne. Let this moment settle. Wind whispering. Feel the cool stone underfoot and the scent of incense wafting through the hall. Each footstep of leather sandals across the floor resonated like a gentle melody. Elizabeth listened and realized that even the smallest sound could stir profound reflection. She studied Latin to read ancient scholars' manuscripts, Greek to understand myths of gods on Olympus, French to pen secret letters. Each language was a key to unlock another realm, guiding her through bygone civilizations. More than knowledge, she learned to bury sorrow in the silent gaps between sentences. Soft inhale. Moonlight caressed her red hair as branches swayed outside the balcony, beckoning her to explore. She closed her book and sat cross-legged on a thick rug. Eyes closed, she listened to her heartbeat, steady in a sea of stillness. She understood that no matter the court's turmoil or hidden plots, silence and knowledge would be her invisible shields. And you, tonight's listener, let your spirit merge with wind, candlelight, and that young heartbeat. Allow all tension to subside, to drift into the dreamlike sea. In the enveloping darkness, you and Elizabeth I share a silent faith, that although life teaches one to hold their tongue, hope's voice can still be heard. As you feel your hair gently brush your pillow, as breath deepens and slows, know you have willingly stepped into a realm both mythical and real. A world of a young girl, rich in secrets and yearning to discover. A world that the Tudor court has only just begun to reveal, heart beating slowly. A lullaby continues through the night, carrying us into Elizabeth I's long journey, she who will emerge from shadows, bearing silent secrets to one day shine upon the throne. And now, prepare to hush your mind. Listen to the wind's song, your heart's steady drum, and the soft footsteps upon ancient stone corridors. Night quietly settles over London, the mist embracing the Tower of London like a cool blanket. Pale moonlight filters through iron-barred windows, casting wavering silver streaks upon the damp stone walls. The wind rustles through the watchtower as if a slow, steady breath of a creature drifting towards sleep. But for Elizabeth, sleep has become an elusive notion. When her half-sister Mary ascended the throne, Catholic and Protestant currents clashed like opposing rivers, dragging all souls caught between them into the whirlpool of religious strife. Elizabeth, standing at that boundary, was swept into the Tower of London, a fortress that had swallowed countless queens before her. Within the cramped chambers, cold stone walls still bore patches of slick green moss, and the decaying wooden floorboards creaked under each careful step. No touchscreens, no Wi-Fi to lament over only a single flickering oil lamp casting pale yellow light. She carried a loneliness akin to being cut off from the internet, thoughts racing without connection. Elizabeth learned to hear the faintest sounds, The guards' measured steps, the creak of iron doors locking her away, and the distant bell of the chapel each evening. Each dawn, mist clung to the old window panes, obscuring her view beyond the fortress walls. She wondered if anyone outside still remembered her, or if she were like an unread message languishing in an inbox. Sighing, she let that lone breath, inhale, exhale, remind her, stay composed. Grasping a polished ebony hairbrush, Elizabeth gently ran it through her fiery red locks as if kindling a silent flame in the cold. Each strand served as a quiet vow. No one can steal the freedom within. In the small handheld mirror, her eyes sparkled with resolve, lips pressed into a determined line. She was only 21, but her spirit bore wiser scars than many twice her age. The tower's soundtrack extended beyond clanking boots. Occasionally, a mouse scuttled in the dark corner, a secret whisper of the night. Dripping water fell from the ramparts, each drop marking passing seconds, reminding her that time marched on while she remained unseen. A seldom-told tale whispered that a previous female prisoner had carved a faint inscription into the stone. Hold fast to hope. In that moment, Elizabeth smiled in the darkness, finding a kindred spirit beyond her dreams. Days passed, and Mary sometimes sent provisions through a small hatch, stale bread, smoked meat, and occasionally surprising treats, sharp cheese slices like the unexpected snack your pantry hides. Elizabeth noted that even kind gestures could not erase isolation. She savoured each crunchy bite, letting it conjure memories of sunlit courtyards and birdsong outside the fortress walls. Inhale, exhale, each breath a moment of calm amid the winter chill. In the darkness, she used her fingernail to etch Elizabeth Tudor into the wall, a quiet declaration that she remained unbowed. It recalled a gentle jest of our times, stories that vanish from social feeds, leaving a name forgotten in digital data. Late at night, lamp flames danced like falling stars, and Elizabeth slipped from her stiff chair, permitting herself rare relaxation. She closed her eyes, listening to her heartbeat. Steady heartbeat. The sure reminder that no matter the turmoil outside, there existed an inner sanctuary. In that hush, she dreamt of stepping into a palace courtyard ringed with towering cedars and roses blooming under dawn's soft glow. Next morning, the chapel bell tolled anew, and Elizabeth resolved, "Today, I will leave another mark." With a crack in her joints echoing like wind through dry leaves, she rose and accepted sheets of parchment and a feather quill from her trusted attendant, a secret gift from Mary. On the page, she wrote in Latin, "Fata viam invenient," fate will find a way. Her flowing script became a gentle stream of hope threading through granite walls. She placed the note beneath her pillow like slipping earbuds beneath a cushion to drift into sleep. Closing her eyes, she allowed a breeze to caress her cheek, the natural lullaby promising a future free beyond the tower's gloom. As dawn's first light touched the sky, Elizabeth remained unaware where destiny would lead her next. Yet, she believed that even if the flame of confinement blazed through the shroud of mist, her steadfast heart would never extinguish. She would emerge gradually, like a wave lapping the shore softly, persistently, and without fanfare. Now, let your spirit drift into this silent realm, breathing slowly, and feel the warmth tucked within the flicker of that lamp. Allow this tale to settle like a tranquil river, guiding you into a peaceful slumber filled with dreams of misty fortresses, silver moonlight, and the girl whose eyes guarded secrets untold. Morning light seeps slowly across the tiled roof, tinting every mossy stone with the pale gold of dawn. The clip-clop of horses' hooves echoes on the cobblestone street, each sound beating gently like a newly awakened heart. Do you hear it? Inhale, exhale. That is London breathing itself awake. When Mary passed away, a cold January day softly unfolded across the city. Winter winds still whispered through the window cracks, rustling leaves and carrying dampness off the Thames. In that air, a figure in white appeared, white as the first light, streaked with pale gold of royal robes. This was Elizabeth I, the queen with no throne and no fear of the dark. Can you imagine flocks of white doves taking flight in the square, their wings rustling like a morning symphony? As Elizabeth passed, her white silk cloak billowed like waves on a sandy shore, while the golden sash shimmered like dew-kissed pearls. Citizens lined the streets, eyes gleaming with hope, yet some whispered, "She needn't promise anything, one smile will suffice." A gentle jest, not too cutting, like an influencer posting a photo with no caption. In that moment, Elizabeth made no formal pronouncements. She did not declare allegiance to Catholicism or the Reformers, did not announce any marriage, despite all Europe awaiting her answer. Nor did she outline reforms or present a financial plan to ease national debt. A calm glance and a subtle smile across the courtyard were enough. The new era had begun. Dawn's light shimmered on the Thames in silvery ribbons, like ancient script on vellum. Gentle waves lapped at the embankment in a lullaby of Renaissance. Elizabeth paused on the palace steps, half closing her eyes, and took a deep breath. Inhale, exhale, feeling her heart align with the city's pulse. The atmosphere felt almost enchanted. Soft sunlight filtered through tree branches, painting dancing spots on her cloak. She moved without haste or pomp. A woman amidst the crowd, strong without needing spectacle, regal without the need for embellishment. Do you sense the breeze brushing past, carrying hints of royal garden tea leaves and the faint aroma of hearth smoke? Each gust whispered that life carried on, even as every gaze fixed on one woman. Elizabeth adjusted her cloak to keep the silk from taking flight. Few know that on her first day as queen, instead of summoning a grand court orchestra, she requested a small madrigal ensemble, an intimate, lilting music, rarely heard, as soft as drifting incense. Their gentle melody wove through the dawn air, offering blessings of calm, and the reminder that sometimes silence is the mightiest weapon. Elizabeth needed no gilded scepter nor weighty crown to assert her power. Her steady gaze beneath a poised brow inspired the awakening nation. Advisors thought, if this was merely a first draft of a grand speech, the next chapter would surely astonish all Europe. Do you hear the rustle of falling leaves? That is time flowing, comforting every waiting heart. Elizabeth moved on, her strides light upon the cobblestones, leaving behind a trail of white light, a reminder that every dawn brings new possibility. As her procession continued toward the palace, let your soul settle, matching each footfall, each whisper of wind, each gentle wave. Slow your breath to a quiet rhythm, close your eyes, and feel the sunlight graze your skin like a warm embrace of awakening hope. In that serene moment, understand that new beginnings need not roar. Sometimes they emerge simply as soft light, a drifting madrigal, and a single smile bright enough to kindle an entire era. The sunset light bathes the Thames in soft reds, drawing pale orange streaks across the water like delicate silk. Gentle ripples lap at the stone embankment, sketching serene curves upon a glassy surface. Do you hear it? Inhale, exhale. That is the quiet breath of a kingdom contemplating love and power. Suitors arrive in waves from France, sealed in red wax. From Spain, hidden in carved wooden boxes. From Sweden, alongside sweet almonds like tempting confections. Each proposal lands like a surge upon Elizabeth's shores, sending the river of her life swaying with emotional tides. Yet Elizabeth, her hair aflame in the evening glow, calmly refolds each letter, pressing it to her brow as if marking a moment of choice. She never utters a hasty yes or no. Each refusal drifts away like a breeze through trees, gentle yet enough to scatter marital ambitions. She knows dynasties are forged through marriages and seductive intrigue. Picture lavish palaces, endless gala banquets like the grandest luxury stores, where suitors line up for a golden ring. Elizabeth stands amid this courtly dance, touches a ring, then softly shakes her head, signaling that she is not on any waiting list. Decades ago, on the cusp of womanhood, many predicted she would wed a French king, fortifying alliances. Rumours also spoke of a Spanish prince at the city gates, bearing treasures and castles. But she chose a different path, one without rose garlands or crystal chandeliers. She married England itself. She placed the crown upon her head instead of a ring on her finger. The afternoon light wanes, willows before the palace bowing like hair drifting on shoulders. Sparrows trill softly while distant church bells toll an orchestral hymn of dusk. Elizabeth strolls the corridor, her white cloak fluttering as breezes carry lavender scents and incense smoke. It is the fragrance of hope and freedom, tinged with delicate satire. Who needs marriage when you command an entire realm? To some courtiers, she is elusive as unstable Wi-Fi in an ancient fortress. They despair over downloading a definitive yes or no from her. Yet it is this ambiguity that becomes her greatest weapon. No one can predict her next move, keeping them alert, ever on guard. Imagine mossy stone walls, tinted green beneath the dying light, golden patches peeking through leaves. Elizabeth sits on a marble bench, retrieving from a silk pouch a paper fan depicting a calm seascape. She fans herself in slow rhythms, each gesture a bridge between past and present. In that moment, all thoughts of other marital alliances vanish, revealing only a self-possessed woman who needs belong to no one. Soft footfalls echo on stone floors, mingling with rustling leaves. Elizabeth's breath remains even, inhale, exhale, syncing with her inner melody. She closes her eyes, listening to a distant palace stream, an echo reminding her, all flows, and you may hold on to this freedom. Amid the twilight, she smiles not the anxious bride's grin, but that of one who cherishes dawn's first light. She has chosen an island prone to fickle weather, its history strewn with triumphs and wounds over foreign crowns of convenience. As night descends, palace lamps flicker like captured stars upon vaulted ceilings painted with mythic scenes. Elizabeth stands by the window, gazing into the deep dark, dreaming of tomorrow, a time when her crown is not mere ornament but testament to freedom and inner strength. A gentle taunt echoes in her mind. Who needs a prince when you reign as queen? Let your spirit drift with the night breeze. Hear leaves falling softly. Match your breathing to its slow tempo. And look ahead to a future where love is not restrictiveness, but the ability to remain whole amid life's storms. In that silence, you and Elizabeth share an unspoken vow. Freedom is the greatest bond of all. Candlelight flickers in the royal chamber, so still you can hear your heartbeat, steady heartbeat, mingled with your soft breath, inhale, exhale. Outside the leaded window, the dusk lingers on sculpted reliefs, dyeing stone with rosy and pale violet hues. In this hush stands a familiar silhouette, Robert Dudley, behind Elizabeth, a blurry recollection that cannot be erased. They grew up together in the vast palace, its walls hung with tapestries and Persian rugs woven with intricate patterns. Their footsteps echoed upon cold stone floors, each step a gentle note in a silent tune. During nightly festivities, when crimson drapes fell, Elizabeth and Dudley danced under golden candlelight. The harp and lute blended into a hazy symphony, a testament to their captivating friendship. Rumour held that Dudley was the only man to stir Elizabeth's heart, but their bond was not a fairy tale. It resembled a prince waiting quietly outside a castle gate for an invitation. In modern terms, they felt like two social media friends who post palace snapshots together, yet never follow back. A relationship undefined, full of poetic comments but lacking a like button. Inhale, exhale. In the dimly lit antechamber, Elizabeth paused before an ebony-framed mirror. Lamplight danced on its surface, reflecting her face, red-haired eyes fixed, lower lip gently pressed. Beside the mirror hung a portrait of Dudley, painted with delicate lines, his gaze hiding unspoken words. They shared countless secrets, gazed upon the same moon, yet never dared to confess. A lesser-known tale whispers that their closeness once flustered the entire court. When Dudley married Amy Robsart, Elizabeth was absent from the ceremony, yet her blessing letter was sealed with red wax, a sign of intimacy and protocol. Less than 18 months later, Robsart died in a mysterious staircase. Accident. Gossip swept through the realm like summer wind. Was it jealousy, or something darker? All eyes turned toward Elizabeth, as if waiting for her to reveal the truth. Breezes drifted through arched windows, rolling down marble corridors, tracing silver streaks on the floor. Each gust reminded her that life contains not only shared joys, but shadows kept hidden. Elizabeth, draped in emerald silk, glided across the plush carpet, She paused by a moss-covered wall, laying her hand on its rough texture, feeling warmth from centuries-old stone. "What if it is all just ceremony?" she whispered. Her voice was a pebble in a still pond, sending ripples through the silence. In her eyes dwelled not just affection, but gentle power wielded by quiet reserve. Like a modern designer brand, she understood that mystery is its most alluring trait. Steady heartbeat. The lute's song rose from the great hall, but Elizabeth did not turn. She gazed toward the half-closed door where Dudley often watched. At each glimpse of his silhouette, her heart skipped a beat, not from weakness, but from the unseen bond between their spirits. One night, under a full moon's slanted light, Elizabeth carved a small circle into the wall, a symbol of undying friendship. Dudley discovered it at dawn, studied its curve, and smiled. They needed no words. In that instant they were two boats on the same river, steering moments apart. Crickets chirped a lullaby outside the fortress walls, blending with the soft thrumming of night. Elizabeth sank onto a high-backed chair, drawing a long breath. Inhale, exhale, soothing her pent-up emotions. She pondered all the unsent letters, the whispered phrases capable of shifting kingdoms. In her realm, silence soared higher than any declaration. At the break of dawn, mist lifted as pink light spilled across domes. Elizabeth stepped onto the balcony, gazing toward the Thames where Dudley's figure traced her moonlit silhouette. She knew their relationship could never be named, and that made it immortal, like a file stored forever on a server, impossible to delete. Breathe slowly. Feel each cool breeze, each gentle wave upon the shore. Let your spirit drift like petals on water. And, alongside Elizabeth and Robert Dudley, merge into the silent melody of a royal night, where love and power weave an unforgettable tale. Candlelight in the great hall dances softly, casting gentle beams upon the grey stone walls. The harpsichord's notes drift through the air, like the palace's breath, drawing us into a space both ancient and alive. High above, Murillo and Titian's frescoes stand silent guard, the unseen witnesses of power. Under her reign, Elizabeth's court was like a lush spring rose garden brimming with thorns. Nobles in dazzling attire paraded between marble columns, their steps echoing on polished floors, each echo as deliberate as a slow breath. Inhale, exhale, reminding all that in this realm, a breath or a nod could reshape destinies. Elizabeth I sat upon a towering throne, her gaze serene, inviting yet immovable. Each noble was a blossom in this garden, flaunting vibrant hues and heady scents, but each carrying thorns of defense. Velvet cloaks of deep sapphire and costumes, studded with golden threads, shimmered in the candlelight. Smiles were offered with grace, but no one knew if they masked sincerity or served as subtle theatre. In modern terms, this resembled a corporate boardroom, where every gaze and word was recorded, quantified, then translated into quarterly metrics. Heartbeat steady, Elizabeth offered no swift rewards nor harsh punishments. When a young duke presented a carved cameo in alabaster, she merely inclined her head and said, "My gratitude for your remembrance." Brief, courteous, yet indelible. Weeks later, another title glimmered upon a rival's seal, and the first duke remained waiting like an email lost in spam. Sunset light slanted through tall windows, painting lines of gold across a Persian rug. Outside, trees whispered like secret courtiers, reminding everyone that power, after all, is only one thread of life. Elizabeth listened more than she spoke, her eyes memorizing names and ambitions alike. In the 16th century, this was strategy of delicate force. Strength tempered without violence, softness balanced by resolve. She delayed monumental decisions for weeks, even months, leaving the court suspended between hope and doubt. Time stretched slowly, like a thoughtful heartbeat. Inhale, exhale. Intervals of waiting became tests of patience for both court and supplicant. Some likened her court to a modern HR department, where a promotion request might linger in an inbox without so much as an auto-reply. The dying light of dusk drifted across her silk brocade gown, the fabric soft as drifting mist. At last, she nodded gentle as a pebble's ripple on still water enough to send wave after wave of change through the realm. Letters went out, titles were granted, and only then did the kingdom exhale. That was her moment to release power, and also her choice of timing. The gentle strains of a viol drifted from the gallery, the lullaby of royalty. She smiled quietly, her hand resting on ledgers, eyes glinting with wisdom. In margin notes, one could sometimes find annotations like, Her Majesty to deliberate further, prompting court secretaries to smirk, wondering if this were how she kicked the ball, keeping everyone on edge. Velvet drapes stirred as attending pages swept through, marking the end of the session. Elizabeth's soft-soled slippers whispered on marble floors, a quiet orchestration of calm authority. Peering down the corridor, candlelight lilting off tapestries, she murmured, "Every step is a chess move." Breathe slowly, feeling the warmth of this timeless chamber. Listen to wind whisper through high windows, leaves rustle on eaves. Let your footsteps be light, as Elizabeth's leading you beyond the door of power, where silence, delay, and a single nod shape fate. In that hush, power becomes a delicate dance, lulling you to sleep with dreams of courtly games, known only to those wise enough to see the poised rhythm beneath the grandeur. Candlelight in the throne room gently illuminates the pristine white silk drapes, casting soft golden hues upon the gilded vault. The sound of her jeweled crown swaying with each step echoes like ripples on distant grasslands stirred by breeze. Each breath, inhale, exhale, feels like a gentle gust sweeping across the marble floor, setting rhythm for every attentive heart. Elizabeth wore more than a cloak. She wore regal image. With thick white makeup, she concealed smallpox scars remnants that once roughened her summer skin. This mask was not merely sunblock, but protective armor rendering her mood unreadable. In an era where every expression made news, Elizabeth left blank spaces between her words. Perched high upon her head was a towering wig, her real hair tucked underneath adorned with golden curls occasionally tinted violet in vogue, and threaded with pearls like secret garden treasures. The wig did more than hide time's passage. It amplified her height, making her presence unshakable. In modern parlance, this was akin to an Instagram filter, demanding attention from any who glimpsed her. Heartbeat steady. Before her stood an ornate, silver-framed mirror, reflecting her living statue in wavering candlelight. Her pale face stood out starkly, eyes rimmed in black like protective shields, warding off any prying gaze. The silence was profound, as if you could hear her breath. Inhale, exhale, a slow drum signaling quiet authority. Her gown was embroidered with pearls so meticulously, none could replicate it, each bead like a dewdrop clinging to a blossom at dawn, shimmering in night. These pearls travelled from distant seas through artisan hands before being sewn onto fabric in delicate patterns, proof of England's economic reach, spanning from eastern ports to Europe, strung together like a sovereign's necklace. A violin's notes drifted softly, forming a dreamlike concerto that filled the chamber, reminding all that power lay not only in the throne, but in controlling emotion's tempo. When music ceased, the hush that remained allowed Elizabeth to read each silent expression. Few recall her sumptuary decree forbidding non-royals to don white or black colours reserved solely for the monarch. Enforced to preserve her singular image, it was an early exercise in personal branding, a Renaissance marketing ploy, turning her white silhouette into coveted luxury. Inhale, exhale. A breeze slipped through latticed windows, carrying scents of rosemary and salt-washed pearls. In that instant, Elizabeth closed her eyes, merging her breath with the night's, composing an unending symphony of sovereign calm. She stepped toward the throne, the silk rippling like gentle swells across a still pond. Seating herself, her gown formed a rotating halo, like a painted lotus resting at ceremony's heart. Dozens of gazes followed, yet none discerned what stirred her soul: resolute strength, profound solitude, or unwavering faith in herself. Beyond the doorway, twilight draped corridors in silence, with small stars flickering outside. Nearby, a page placed a dish of rosewater, its fragrance drifting like incense. Elizabeth inhaled deeply. Inhale, exhale, letting the scent fill her chest, and reminding her that though image might bind, the spirit remains free to soar. The final note of applause fluttered like falling leaves, Elizabeth rose, her chalk-white visage glowing in dim candlelight, her eyes like tempered steel. In that moment, she transcended womanhood, becoming living emblem of power, woven from attire, decree, and unspoken secrets. Now close your eyes, let music fade, let candlelight dwindle, and feel the power of a lasting image carries you into slumber. Dream of the white-crowned glory and steely heart, where authority is both gentle and unyielding. Dawn stretches across the sea's surface, painting waves into a misty mirror of silvery ribbons, like countless glimmers drifting lazily by. The soft thrum of waves against hulls. Inhale, exhale. Echoes like the ocean's heartbeat awakening a realm. On the horizon, more than 100 towering masts of the Spanish Armada loom like forested sentinels, carrying dreams of conquest and a mighty empire's pride. In the year 1588, when Spain, Europe's greatest power, set sail to invade England, Queen Elizabeth I refused to hide behind palace walls. Donning gleaming armour, she rode a white steed out to the camp at Tilbury. Sunlight flashed off her steel, and hooves drummed against sandy earth as sea breezes, salty with promise, swept past. Militiamen lined the shore, their eyes fixed on her slender yet resolute figure. Heartbeat steady. In that calm before the storm, Elizabeth I spoke. "I may have the body of a frail woman, but I possess the heart and stomach of a king." Her voice resonated across the expanse, a declaration for foes and countryfolk alike that courage knows no gender. Applause and wind rustles stirred through the fields beyond. In modern terms, this was a viral manifesto, an image and phrase spreading through folklore like a trending post. The next day, as the Armada neared, dark clouds gathered and trumpets blared long notes of warning, like panicked breaths of sailors bracing for fate. Massive ships collided under tattered sails, their rigging creaking like restless bats. Smaller, swifter English vessels darted forth, sending burning ships as fiery warnings into the blackness, a spectacle akin to a city's skyline ablaze by fireworks at midnight. Smoke and ember spiraled, crimson flames reflecting upon the water in jagged strokes. Cannons roared, but amid the clash, one could still hear the winds shriek through shattered sails, an ancient tale carried by each gust. At last, nature intervened. Gale winds swept the invaders, scattering wrecks like autumn leaves. Waves battered hulls, leaving upturned masts adrift against rocky shores. Some called it divine intervention, yet all knew that without Elizabeth's resolve, no force could have kept England whole. Inhale, exhale. By dusk, the sea turned burnished bronze, a reminder that victories fade but indomitable spirit endures. Rusted anchors dotting the shore bear silent witness to a battle now half forgotten. On land, crowds welcomed victors home, garlands woven from wildflowers scenting the air. In quiet corners, whispers jaded with satire floated. The wind may have brought salvation, but courage birthed the freedom. A gentle jab, as potent as a late-night forum quip, Elizabeth I offered no radiant grin. Instead, she declared simply, "Return the sunken ships to the sea, and restore glory to England." A decree unrecorded in contracts yet etched forever, in legend like an immortal hashtag in the annals of history. Feel the sea breeze brush your skin, listen to waves lull you in inhale, exhale, and drift into that vast, serene moment. Dream of the ocean's wind carrying destiny ashore, and of a queen whose heart surpassed her fragile form, guiding a nation through storm and calm alike. The sunset spills across the Thames, bathing the waves in gentle shades of auburn and lavender. The river's hush, inhale, exhale, wakes the realm like a lullaby. Overhead, pastel skies herald England's bright dawn of culture. In cozy tea shops and candlelit libraries, herbal aromas mingle with aged parchment. In a low-ceilinged study lined with tall candles on oak tables, Shakespeare sits alone by the final flicker, eyes tracing immortal lines that still warm hearts today. Heartbeat steady, the whisper of quill on vellum, brush on canvas, composes a silent symphony of invention. Elizabeth need not wield pen or brush. A simple nod at a courtly performance kindles the flames of art like a modern influencer's like that sparks global trends. Meanwhile, Sir Francis Drake returns from his circumnavigation, clutching fresh maps and mother-of-pearl inlays. As he steps ashore, gulls wheel overhead to drumbeats of triumphant welcome. Smoke-laced salutes drift upward like ocean blessings in the dawn air. Inhale, exhale. At the docks, ship's bells toll predictably, like a weather forecast affirming calm seas. Lines of merchant vessels bearing spices, silks, and exotic parrots from the east line the quay, sails swelling on coastal winds. In the palace gardens, explorers like Sir Walter Raleigh gather around stone tables, sipping mead spiced with honey and herbs, recounting distant lands christened Virginia in her honor. Charcoal sketches unfurl on deer-hide scrolls, hands trembling with excitement and night's chill. As wind whispers, the horizon calls. Moonlight drifts through rosemary-framed windows, scattering soft patterns across brick floors. Crickets trill like museum ambient noise beneath the stars. Elizabeth glides among the shadows, silent witness to endless creativity. She asks no grandeur, just a gentle gesture to nurture dreams. This golden age feels like the streaming era, each new play a must-see podcast drawing crowds across Europe. Scholars convene over tea, debating philosophy and mapping anatomy by candlelight like TED Talks. But softer, healing political divides with the balm of reason. Heartbeat steady. A clavichord in the gallery hums an echo of past triumphs, a measured lullaby. Embroiderers beneath gentle candlelight weave rose and dandelion motifs in silk, like tomorrow's luxury wallpapers printed in-house. Even noble youths embrace rhetoric, logic, and travel today's equivalents of coding, marketing, and language learning, because Elizabeth knew a nation thrives not on swords alone, but on informed citizens. As night deepens, the court returns to quiet chambers, candles guttering in bedsides, corridors glowing faintly. Elizabeth glides through the library one last time, fingers brushing spines of vellum-bound volumes, breath slowing. Inhale, exhale. Tomorrow will bring new tales, fresh performances, and further voyages. When the castle settles into nocturnal hush, drift on the melody of this golden age, a wordless composition of brushstrokes, quills, canon echoes, and ancient script. Rest in that radiant realm, dreaming of an age where moon, candle, and knowledge shone together, leaving an everlasting imprint upon history's pages. In the palace garden at dawn, delicate teacups rest on ivory trays, wisps of steam rising from emerald tea like gentle morning breaths. Inhale, exhale. Silken drapes billow softly in the breeze through open windows, casting pastel hues upon ancient stone walls. Sparrows trill among branches, a lullaby amid brilliance. Though she took no husband, Elizabeth remained Europe's dream lover, not for her beauty, but for her crown. Ambassadors from France arrived, bearing framed, hand-painted portraits, emerald ink brushing each hopeful gaze. Spanish envoys laid carved ivory boxes at her feet, token pledges of military alliance. Swedish dignitaries penned love letters on parchment, sealed with crimson wax, today's equivalent of unread messages in an overflowing inbox. Heartbeat steady. In the morning glow, Elizabeth received every gift with poised grace, lifting a cup of jasmine tea, eyes bright with contemplation, then offering a slight nod akin to a read receipt, leaving courtiers teased and waiting. Her gesture resembled a text seen, yet unanswered, delighting senders even as they lingered in suspense. Sunlight streamed through orchid-laced balustrades, sketching patterns across tables like phone screens glowing with notifications. Letters piled high between waiting pages, unsent emails in the royal account. Some whispered that Elizabeth would excel at modern ghosting, never replying yet amassing vast followers across foreign courts. A breeze swept through marble columns. Inhale, exhale, rustling silk drapes as though revealing secrets. But Elizabeth, in her golden threaded gown, merely smiled softly, lips curved like the phrase, "Click here to learn more," yet unattainable. After each audience, she glided down candlelit corridors, the cool stones underfoot as smooth as wrists rests on a favorite keyboard. Each step deliberate, a subtle warning to those impatient for answers. "Wait," she seemed to whisper. "Only I know when the moment is ripe." Rare lore tells of a French duke who secretly delivered a painted tribute beneath the balcony. The next morning, only draped velvet concealed its place, and a single note remained. Patience reveals all, a masterpiece of royal ghosting, heartbeat steady. On summer afternoons by rose arbors, Elizabeth sat upon a stone bench sipping chamomile tea, watching petals drift like unsent words. In her lap, letters bloomed into imagined dates, secret soirees orchestrated at her whim. In modern parlance, her reign resembled endless virtual meetings postponed indefinitely organisers, promising, "You'll receive an update next week," only to extend the wait. Elizabeth commanded the greatest reply-all protocol, but responded only when it served her design. Eventually, proposals faded like obsolete notifications, slipping from screens into digital oblivion. Yet courtiers still spoke her name with wry smiles, teasing, "Keep sending letters. Perhaps you'll receive a reply someday." That question hovered in palace air, an unpopped thought bubble, both invisible and unforgettable. At dusk, as fiery light slunk beneath golden leaves, Elizabeth folded the final letter into a jade casket. She drew a slow breath. Inhale, exhale, letting each cool sigh affirm that time unfolds on its own accord. Then she turned, her steps light as drifting clouds. In that space of absolute stillness, let your spirit float like foam upon the shore, your breath steady, as you drift to sleep to the image of teacups, silken veils, and unanswered love letters, a silent tango of power and freedom. The final dawn of spring washes over the palace roof, painting the stone walls with pale rose hues like morning dew. The chapel bell echoes down the corridor in gentle chimes. Inhale, exhale, reminding all that every beginning meets its end. In that space, candlelight shimmers on dark teacups, sweet herbal scents swirling as a farewell to ambitions. In the glittering court, ambition blossoms. Young Robert Devereux, eager and handsome, believed he could redirect the Queen's fate. He stood behind the throne, offering honeyed words and looks of hope. Yet Elizabeth was more than a ruler, she was a survivor, and all who sought to manipulate her faced bitter ends. Heartbeat steady. At a rare tea gathering, sunlight filtered through amber-stained windows, casting dancing patches of warmth on the inlaid marble walls. Devereux entered in deep red velvet, his youthful fervour and confident vision shining. He bowed low, whispering of plans perfected modern-day equivalent of a bold Shark Tank pitch, certain he'd swayed the biggest investor. Elizabeth merely smiled, ocean-deep eyes studying him. She sipped her tea, its earthy forest flavours rolling across her tongue, and then inclined her head in muted praise, offering no commitment. That single gesture acted like a skip ad, click an indication he remained guest in her grand narrative. Weeks passed. Driven by ambition, Devereux rallied allies and launched a quietly orchestrated rebellion, his own submit protest of the 16th century. But Elizabeth was prepared. Under the cover of darkness, torches flared in the courtyard, their amber glow marking the path to justice. Inhale, exhale. Footsteps of soldiers rang out, swords clinking against scabbards. Devereux was seized and led through iron gates. In a solemn dawn gathering, as verdicts were read, Elizabeth emerged with the day's first light, reflecting off her white cloak, her silhouette haloed in quiet authority. When the sentence of execution was pronounced, a gust swept through open gates like the court's collective sigh. Devereux knelt, ashen-faced beneath dying candles. The axe's blade fell with a sharp crack, heartbeat slowing. Then silence reigned, broken only by echoes of shared sorrow. It is said Elizabeth wept not from love, but because a portion of her own youth was lost company with him. A single tear slid down her cheek, catching dawn's glow as a crystal drop upon a blooming petal. In that moment, power lay not in decisive strokes, but in compassion for human frailty. Heartbeat steady. As the tea service concluded, now cold and fragrant, luxurious draperies fell with mournful grace. In the courtyard, lilac blossoms drifted down, their scent a poignant reminder that while power fades, nature endures in motion. In modern terms, this lesson warns those who chase power too swiftly. Strength fleeting may leave a blade lodged in the heart. Sometimes survival depends not on conquest, but on empathy for the fallen. As a final breeze stirred the late afternoon, Elizabeth glided through the long corridor, her steps whispering like a spectre. She closed her eyes, drew a deep breath, inhale, exhale, to sync with the palace's shared rhythm. And in that hush, the ultimate lesson of ambition and humanity whispered you into a peaceful sleep, dreaming of a world where strength walks hand in hand with the heart. Candlelight flickers across cold stone walls, casting a gentle mist of warmth in the winter palace. Wind threads through the shuttered windows, rustling velvet drapes and echoing along marble corridors like unseen footsteps. On the Thames, a thin layer of fog drifts like a woolen blanket over slate-coloured waters, untouched by breeze. Queen Elizabeth I is now past 60 years. Her once ruddy hair lies beneath towering wigs threaded with pearls, her real locks hidden to preserve youth's memory. She seldom gazes into mirrors, avoiding harsh lights that reveal her frailty. Moonbeams filter through latticed windows, silvering streaks across her pale crown, and she retreats into darker corners where candlelight and shadows meld. The Westminster clock chimes solemnly, each toll a measured heartbeat, inhale, exhale, reminding all that every era has its dawn and dusk. Elizabeth remains on her throne's silk-padded seat, now worn and quiet, like a dusty heirloom bearing centuries of stories. She rests a hand upon the carved ebony armrest, feeling faint cracks embedded with history's whispers. Those who stood steadfast by her side, William Cecil, master architect of statecraft, Robert Dudley, the bright spark of youth, have passed beyond this life, leaving hollow echoes in her court. Each eulogy seems to swell the winter wind's mournful howl, rattling window panes with sorrow. Fresh advisors arrive dynamic, daring, but none offer the steady anchor of old allies, like passing trains kicking up dust before rolling away. Inhale, exhale. Elizabeth's breath is the slow cadence of epochs, marking nights of restless vigilance. She avoids her bed, fearing that if she lies down, slumber might claim her forever. She is the winter owl of the palace, eyes wide before dawn, listening for faint stirrings in silent halls. The palace in winter wears a hushed cloak. Persian rugs lie heavy with muted colour, each step pressing into their fibres like footprints fading away. Murillo and Titian murals have dulled with years of damp and flame, their scenes now ghostly memories. In the council chamber, a round table carved with cloud motifs sits half-lit by flickering candles, as though lost in a forgotten dream. Sometimes, Elizabeth stands by the window, watching children play in drifting snow. Their laughter threads through bitter air like a lifeline to youth's sunlight. She stays cloaked in white fur, wind lifting its edges, her gaze following but never joining their game. In modern terms, she is the silent observer on video calls present, yet grounded firmly behind a screen. At rare audiences, her voice betrays a soft tremor, a sign of cracked iron. She nods, her words minimal. Proceed with the council's work, then turns on silent heels. Pages and secretaries shuffle papers and dispatch letters as though her will continues to guide all affairs. Yet she knows. The day she releases her grasp is the day dawn of uncertainty arrives. Heartbeats slowing. Outside, snow blankets the rosemary gardens, filling the air with crisp earth and herbal perfume. Broken leaves crunch under sparrow claws, a fey nocturne to usher in dreams. Elizabeth steps onto the balcony, letting each draught of winter air prick her skin, reminding her that even sovereign power bends before nature's might. A lesser-known tale tells of a night when Elizabeth paused at the chapel bell tower, listening as its slow toll pierced silent skies. She reached out, not in prayer, but to let sorrow dissolve into the echoes, a communion with quiet regret. Though regal, Elizabeth once laughed softly at life's wry humour. She told a confidant, "I've run the race for 40 years straight, now only fearing a broken leg." Her jest rang through the empty hall, as honest and sharp as the crack of winter ice. Late into night, candles gutter low, corridors dimming to dusky gold. Elizabeth returns to her throne, leaning against cold wood, eyelids heavy. Inhale, exhale. Her breath slow, anchoring the palace's heartbeat. she whispers. Though mists thicken and suns hide, I hold my head high. In that final hush, let your spirit drift into the palace's winter slumber. Dream of Thames mists, flickering hallways, and a steadfast heart, calm and resilient amid frost's embrace. One spring morning, the first warm light slipped through lime tree branches, and jasmine scents drifted across the Richmond Palace gardens. A serene hush fell over the realm birds, chirped above the gentle splash of the old fountain, composing a tranquil overture. At last, Elizabeth lay down, not on a soft bed she long avoided, but upon her final throne, a tall-backed chair in the grand hall where candle flames flickered upon silk draperies. Her loyal pages bowed along the stone walls, whispering farewells as soft footfalls, inhale, exhale, echoed Elizabeth's last breaths. No drumbeats thundered, no gunpowder smoke, swirled only the hush of night and candlelight as naphtha wicks guttered out, each flicker marking the end of an era. When courtiers knelt to ask, who shall succeed the throne, Elizabeth gave no elaborate edict, nor any voluminous will. Instead, she simply inclined her head toward her nephew James VI of Scotland. That single nod, quicker than a modern mouse click on a succession confirmation email, sealed the fate of the Tudor line after 44 illustrious years. Silence swallowed the palace as wax cups cooled and velvet cloths were folded in hushed corners. Doors closed with gentle thuds, signifying perhaps the quietest yet most consequential transfer of power in memory. No manifesto, no televised address, just stillness made sovereign. Whispers spoke of hidden details. Elizabeth had quietly declined formal wills to spend her final hours listening to birdsong and watching drifting petals rather than drafting legal documents. She understood that silence itself was her greatest authority, a bit like a CEO stepping down without posting an exit memo. Her departure alone made the statement. Outside, the Thames flowed on beneath Richmond Bridge, its waters bearing the news like a subtle hashtag, Farewell Monarch, quietly trending across villages and courts. Royal bulletins, less sensational than sporting headlines, spread at the speed of river currents. Finally, Elizabeth was laid in a solemn casket draped in purple velvet royal mourning's hue. A silent retinue escorted her through candlelit streets, guided only by torchlight casting long shadows on cobblestones. No grand procession, just a gentle walk into history's embrace. Inhale, exhale. A spring breeze stirred the morning flags, bearing witness that whether monarchs or commoners, all must face nature's cycles. At Westminster Abbey, her bier rested among ancestral tombs. Candlelight turned golden in the Gothic arches as monks chanted a final benediction for unity and reconciliation. In that hush, the kingdom felt the true weight of her departure, not in shifting courtesies, but in that final image of Queen Elizabeth I, pale visage, steadfast gaze, lips pressed in quiet resolve. Those who watched understood that power doesn't only dwell in swords or thrones, but in enduring presence through storms. When the mourners left the abbey, only a pale glow remained over her gravestone inscribed, Elizabeth I, Virgin Queen, Heart of Iron. No long eulogies required, those words alone echoed with legend. Back in the palace, the rosemary garden lay silent under dawn's dew. The stone bench she once sat upon stood empty, bearing only frost-kissed footprints. Yet in history's mind, she reigned on soft as candlelight, persistent as breath. She did not die amid tumult, but slipped away like a gentle dream. As the day's last breath merged with spring winds, let your spirit rest in that silent hymn. Dream of the final candle flame, the decisive nod, and the Thames flowing on carrying deep echoes of a dynasty that closed its chapter in gentle stillness. The last moonlight of spring glides across the surface of the Thames, painting silver ribbons on the slow-moving water. A gentle breeze whispers through willow branches, rustling leaves in a lullaby that bids farewell to a glorious reign. In the hushed night, only the distant call of curlews and the deep, measured breaths, inhale, exhale, of nature remain, tenderly wishing you a peaceful rest. Queen Elizabeth I, the monarch without husband, without child heir, left England not grand mausoleums, but a legacy of enlightenment, culture, and courage. She taught us that power can bloom from gentleness, and that silence can speak volumes. Draped in velvet and crowned with weight, her footsteps upon well-worn stone paths echoed power forged in steadfast faith. She became forever Gloriana, the glorious queen. Like a candle that flares bright before fading to embers, she lived not for love, but to be remembered. In every history tome, her figure stands firm against political storms, a guiding lighthouse through tempests. By a small window, velvet curtains sway in the night breeze. Candle stubs cast their dwindling glow upon pearls, woven into silk gowns, tiny droplets of dew awakened by warmth. Leaves drift down softly, merging with the river's hush, composing a lullaby for wandering souls. Close your eyes, feel your breath flow. Inhale, exhale. Let every challenge and triumph of Elizabeth transform into a soothing dream. Few recall that she strove to foster religious harmony, support the arts, and encourage science so that lamps of knowledge could blaze across the realm. Thanks to her, Shakespeare wove his immortal plays. Drake set his sails in search of new horizons. Libraries and academies bloomed like gardens of wisdom amidst the mist. Elizabeth never penned poems or painted masterpieces, yet she sowed the seeds from which the brilliance of that golden age sprang. Now, as night deepens and moonlight recedes, allow your heart to slow and listen to the insects' soft chorus. Let this tranquil tableau lull you to sleep, as Elizabeth again becomes the mother of a shared dream of peace, progress, and aspiration. Rest will arrive as gently as spring's breeze, and if you dream, you might glimpse her in white robes, gazing at the first evening star. She does not ask for embraces, only that you remember. Gentleness is not weakness, silence is not void, and a crown needs no marriage to affirm its worth. Good night and sweet dreams, beneath dancing stars, beside whispering waves, and amidst the echoes of a golden history. Surrender to sleep's embrace. Let each peaceful breath carry you into dreamland, where Elizabeth I, the queen without a husband, shines still, like a candle never fully extinguished in the annals of time.